Ex-Apple's chief design officer Jony Ive says that it was hard for him to leave, but he had to because of his dissatisfaction with the company after Steve Jobs' passing. Apple's memorable products feature a design that has been etched permanently in our brains, and we have Steve Jobs and his chief design officer, Jony Ive, to thank for that. Unfortunately, Ive departed the company in 2019 to start his own design firm, Love From, and the reason for severing his employment with an entity whom he had worked with for more than 3 decades was because of Apple's positioning after the passing of Steve Jobs. Ive provides more details in the latest podcast. Jony Ive says that he thinks about Steve Jobs every day and feels the lack of his presence daily. Talking on the Life in 7 Songs podcast, Apple Insider reports that Jony Ive talked about leaving Apple and how he had to write his next chapter, which, as we have stated above, was starting Love From. It is clear that Apple's head of industrial design was tired of the company's direction and believed that it was time to part ways. I mean, it's a very natural thing, isn't it, that there are chapters, and leaving Apple was in some senses, a terribly hard thing to do because I did and I do love the company so hugely. And there's just times when, it's time for the next chapter. Fortunately, I've managed to retain a connection with Apple because the latter ended up becoming Love From's client. While he managed to find a way to maintain a working relationship with the trillion-dollar giant, one loss would never fill the void that was left behind, and that was the death of Steve Jobs. When asked about him, I've responded that not a day goes by when he does not remember him or is aware of the loss. And so there's not a day that I'm not aware of him or aware of the loss. There's not a day where I'm not grateful for the time, that we got together and for what I learned and what we discovered. If you wish to hear the entire podcast, you can click on the source link below. When you hear the entire episode, you will learn that Ive has picks that are similar to yours when it comes to music taste. Do give it a listen and let us know what you think in the comments.